Hi guys, and today we're going to be looking at the tariffs that you're going to be expected to pay if you're sending stuff to the US, okay, and how it works. And yes, this video should have been out as part of last week's series, but unfortunately due to life events and the fact that the post office only actually released this, over the weekend, made that a little bit difficult. So we're going to go over it today. We're going to explain them today, and because you've still got time to send stuff to the US, but I don't want you to be surprised at how the tariffs work, because they are awkward, confusing, and even I sat here and just like, what the hell am I reading? Okay, so I'm going to explain some stuff along the way. For those who are partially sighted or need to have the whole thing read out to them because they can't read it themselves, I'm going to do that for you from the Royal Mail and from the White House website, the information that you need from that, and also explain some stuff along the way, okay, so it makes sense, because a lot of this stuff you sit there and you just go, huh? And we don't want you going, huh? And holy crap, when you get to the post office and you end up being charged a whole heap of money you weren't expecting to pay, okay? So, these are the rules as of the 29th of August. Today, when I'm recording this, it is the 7th of October, okay? Some websites you will have found, if you are purchasing stuff from the US that is going over from the UK, you will find that there are tariffs have already been put on that, because obviously that is there, but this information itself was difficult to find and was only released over the weekend properly, okay? So, sending items to the USA. Royal Mail is changing its services to the USA. You may have heard about some changes to customs requirements for goods being imported to the USA, including the goods valued at $800 or less will no longer be exempt from import duties and taxes from Friday the 29th of August 2025. We have been working hard with US authorities, post office and other to adapt our postal services to meet these new requirements. Whether you're mailing a gift to friends or family, or you run a small business serving customers in the USA, you'll be able to send your items to the USA. From Thursday the 28th of August, customers can use our new PDDP, or Postal Delivery Duties Paid service, which meets the new US customs requirements and minimises work for sending customers. Sending goods to the USA, what's changing? On the 30th of July 2025, the United States government announced an executive order being outlined significant changes to the customs requirements and processes for goods being imported into the USA from the 29th of August 2025. These changes affect goods entering the USA from any country in the world, including the UK. Removal of duty-free for lower value items. Previously, items valued at less than $800 could enter the USA without having to pay customs duties. That's changing, and from the 29th of August, goods regardless of value may now be subject to import tariffs, in brackets duties. These duties must be paid by UK senders before items enter our network. Sending gifts. If you're sending gifts valued at $100 or less, then you won't have to pay duties on these items. There will be fees to pay in addition to postage. Information about and calculation of these fees will be clearly available whenever you buy your postage. Sending personal correspondence. If you're sending cards or letters which don't require a customs declaration, you will not have to pay customs duties, and you can continue to send these items to the USA online or by visiting the post office. What duties will apply to goods? For goods or gifts over $100, shipped via Royal Mail PDDP services, duties will be calculated according to the country tariff for the item's country of origin, where the item was made. Where the item was made, not where it was sent from. This is a huge difference. Okay? What this means is that if you're sending a puffer coat from Primark, which is a UK business, that's worth 50 quid, and you're going to send it to the US, that item, and you're sending it with other things and what have you, you have to find the country of origin or manufacture of that item, and that will tell you what tariff. Not where you're sending it from, where it was manufactured from. So say for example that puffer jacket worth 50 quid was made in Taiwan. You will have to find the Taiwan tariffs. Now the link to all the tariffs that I could find, which is the link that is given to you by the post office that takes you to the US White House website, is down below in the description. But I can tell you that the UK tariff is 10%. So if you're sending something that goes over $100 worth of value, and that includes the postage and packaging, not just the item, you will have to find where that item was manufactured, and that is the tariff that you will have to pay. For example, if that that puffer jacket was made in Taiwan, it will be a 20% tariff just for that one item. So be looking at an extra £10 on top of that jacket cost. Then you might be sending like sweets, chocolate, snacks. Some of those things are made in different countries and we just pick them up and think that they're made here. They're not. Some of them are made in France, some in Germany, some in Belgium, some in Switzerland. You may be sending a flavour of Korean or Chinese or Japanese sweet that is unavailable to your cousin, but you know is their favourite, where they might be in the US. You then have to find the tariff for those each and individual items to work out how much you're going to be charged at the end. Yeah. And you could be up for quite a lot of money at that point, on top of what you're already sending. And the thing is this: customs don't open every package, but they could end up opening yours. And if yours is wrong, and you have chosen not to put every item on there and not itemize every single item in the box, then it won't be you who is liable for the duties. It will be the recipient who is liable for the duties. And they may choose to charge them the entire duties due, even though you have paid and declared some of those items. It is not worth the risk, especially if you're sending care packages. Let's continue. What do you need to know? We want to help you carry on sending goods and gifts to the USA and keep your costs to a minimum. Postage costs will remain the same for the new PDDP services as they are for the previous equivalent Royal Mail USA services. There are some administrative fees associated with the new US requirements that will apply to goods and gifts. These fees will be clearly communicated on the online checkout or at the post office, so you know the total amount to pay before you complete your purchase. Running a small business. Sending customers are responsible for understanding the latest shipping and customs requirements required for the items they are sending. When you are purchasing your postage online or at a post office, Royal Mail's PDDP service will calculate and collect the duties for your items before you check out, pay for your item shipping. Buying postage online. We've updated our online systems to meet the new requirements. If you use our online channels, the new Royal Mail USA PDDP service will be available for purchase. This service will display duties and fees payable prior to the checkout. Buying Royal Mail services at the post office. If you visit a post office to send items to the USA, you will be advised of and pay any duties and fees at the same time you purchase your postage at the counter. When do the new services start operating? The new USA customs requirements are effective from Friday the 29th of August 2025. The new Royal Mail USA PDDP services are available to customers online and in post offices from Thursday 28th of August 2025. So some of you might have already been affected, let's be honest. Frequently asked questions. How are duties calculated? Royal Mail will provide shipping calculation and payment of required duties to the US authorities, enabling items to pass through US customs. When you're buying postage online, you will enter the details about the items you're sending, and the duties and fees payable will be displayed prior to checkout. If you're running a business sending items to customers in the USA, whilst we recommend you understand duties applicable to your items, actual duties will be calculated and displayed prior to checkout. What duties apply to items shipped using Royal Mail? For goods shipped via the international postage system, custom duties will be calculated using the value of the item and the country-based IEEPA tariff for that item, depending on the country of origin. Country of origin means that an item was manufactured, not where the parcel is being shipped from. Royal Mail will provide calculation and collection of required duties at the online checkout and payment to the US authorities, enabling items to pass through US customs. More US government information about country-based IEEPA tariffs can be found here. Now I will show you that page. This is the page in question, the White House page, further modifying the reciprocal tariff rates. All of this is a lot of the executive order stuff, tariff modifications, Annex 1, all of the stuff. Now, if you choose to read that, totally up to you. I'm not going to read it. I would like to have a voice at the end of today. But you do have to go about halfway down the page to get to Annex 1 and the countries and territories. And as you can see, each one has a different tariff amount. And you need to be aware of this because places like Cambodia might have 19%, Brazil's 10%. You know, the EU is 0 with column 1 duty rate. Goods with column 1 duty rate over 15% is 15%. It's just, you have to read the small print when it comes to that stuff, right? Places like India, it's 25%, Iraq 35%, Laos 40%. You know, the UK, which is further down here, is 10%. So if you're sending stuff that you know that they will like, that is something as their favourite and it doesn't come from there, or you're buying them an item that was manufactured somewhere else but is sold by a British company, then it is the original place of manufacture that you need to figure out the tariff from. Now we're going to have a look at Annex 2. Annex 2 is a lot of stuff that covers people who have been not putting everything down on the thing, and you may end up with extra duties, etc. So articles, the product of any country determined by US Customs and Border Protection to have transshipped to evade applicable duties under Section 2 of Executive Order as amended. The duty provided in the applicable subheading plus 40%. The special, that's general. Special plus 40%. The duty provided in the applicable subheading. So that's, you know, it can end up being a lot. There are 22 pages of this, and if you want to read it, and this is your business that is reliant on having this information, I suggest very, very much that you read it, understand it, learn it. Not everyone has a business though, and for those of us who do have friends overseas, etc., that we want to send stuff to on a semi-regular basis, it would be a good idea to learn this stuff as well. So what if I'm sending a parcel with more than one item in it with different countries of origin? Customers need to continue to provide information data for each item contained in a package. If packages contain items with different countries of origin, each individual item will incur the country-based IEEPA tariff for the item. Depending on its country of origin, Royal Mail will provide calculation, collection and payment of the required duties to the US authorities, enabling items to pass through US customs. What data and information do I need to provide now when sending items to the USA? Most of the information you need for shipping to the USA is the same as it was prior to the requirements changing. It is particularly important to make sure you're providing an appropriate item description, country of origin and value, as this determines the duty calculation. In addition, putting information in the recipient email address and mobile phone number fields is mandatory. With a postal delivery duty paid service. However, if you do not capture this information from customers, or you're not able to provide this, you can opt to enter your own, the sender's email address or mobile phone number. Okay? So, for example, if you are a business and you are sending information, you're sending products to customers, you will have to collect their email and a phone number. Okay, that's to cover you. So customs contact them, not you. Okay, because it may be that they have to pay more. You know, so that could be necessary. If it's found to not be an issue from your end, then they will have to contact the customer to get that extra from them. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's actually the customer who has to pay it, not the country, like not the sender. The sender has to pay it on behalf of the customer, but the customer has to pay it so that the sender can pay it. It's confusing, but like I said, with the whole puffer jacket thing, you've sent a puffer jacket, you've got say 10 different chocolate bars which cost you maybe £1 each, if that, right? Plus you've got a couple of other bits and pieces in there, as well as a big care package. Half of the stuff has been made in a different country and is only on-sold by the companies that you purchased it from. Some of it is just, you know that it's manufactured and you've picked it up from a specialty store or whatever, so you have to write all that down. You will have to make an allowance for the percentages that you will be expected to pay because of the country of origin of the product. Okay? Yeah. It's very confusing. But it's not where you bought it, it's where it was made. That's what you have to remember. Okay? So if the company you've bought the product from doesn't manufacture their own products, supplies products that have been made in a different country. There are tinned foods that are sold as everyday foods that people automatically think are canned in this country, and they are not. You will have to read every label of everything you are sending to the US to make sure where their manufacturing has been done to get the correct tariff to add to the cost. Whether you are sending gifts for Christmas or birthdays or whatever you are celebrating, or just sending a care package, you will have to do that. If you are a business, you will have to make sure that you preload those tariff parts into your payment system so that your customer knows what they are actually having to pay for. Okay? And you cannot add it to the price of the item. If you add it to the price of the item, when it comes to sending it, the post office will calculate that as the full cost of the item, and you will be charged a percentage of the full cost of the item. So what the customer is paid, because you put that tariff in the cost of the item, they now have to pay more on top. So it doesn't work to add it to, the cost of the item, as some of us do if we're selling stuff online that the payment system doesn't allow for a full amount of postage. We tend to add that onto the cost of the item so that we're covered for postage and handling. For tariffs and duties, this does not work. It has to be calculated separately as an on-top charge. So you will have to update your software, payment software, to make an allowance for this. Now, there was a video not that long ago put out by Mama Cusses, who purchases clothing from a company overseas, which is, I think it's a UK company. She was going to be hit with, I can't remember if it was 60 or 80 pounds worth of duties. So she cancelled the order. She can't get clothing like that where she lives or anywhere in the US that she's found. So she has to do without, because she's not going to pay that amount of money on top. Now, it does make it very difficult for business owners. It does make it very, very difficult for the layperson like yourselves and me, when we're trying to calculate, when we're putting things away, into whatever. If you're making an item, you're looking at the cost of the materials to make it. That's what you're looking at, is the cost of the materials to make it. You can't include your own time, and you need to keep that cost as low as possible. Okay, they don't include the materials to make it. They include so the duty is based on where it's manufactured. So it's not where the materials are manufactured to make the item, it's where the item itself was manufactured. Okay, so if you're making it, but your materials have come from other places, it doesn't matter. That's different. Okay, it's just sending it through to the US. But I suggest very clearly that you guys have a look at all this for yourselves. Like I said, the link will be down in the description for the tariffs as they are. Annex 2 isn't really important to the most of the people, but I would suggest giving it a bit of a run through. I understand that some people find this more difficult than others. Get someone to help you with it. If it's that important to what you have to do and you're not going to settle your mind unless you know exactly, get someone to go through it with you and download it in your own time. Okay? So I'm sorry this didn't go out on Sunday. It really should have gone out on Sunday. Apologies. But it's here now. So that's basically what's going on with the tariffs. That's what's important, etc. There is one more video that needs to come out in the series, and it will be coming out tomorrow. Okay, and I will see you then.